For the introduction, and congratulations to the organizers for such a fascinating, engaging summit and conference, and the opportunity to exchange on a subject of interest to all of us. And that is really how to improve the innovation and productivity factor in Canada. And I believe that part of the role is I think the talent factor is going to, as part of the role of my organization, is going to play an important aspect in going forward as we develop the industries of the future. A little bit about my organization. We are a national center of expertise. We have a very good, strong arm, research arm in technology, but more importantly, our core competencies is in the determining the talent needs of the future, so the workforce forecast and labor market intelligence. But we also develop programs, and we develop programs in collaboration with the industry and academia, but also develop policies in terms of what are the solution space that is needed in Canada. It's very interesting that we did an analysis of the workforce needs in the next number of years, and a couple of months ago we came up with a figure of that by 2016 we're going to need approximately 106,000 critical jobs that needs to be filled in Canada. And to be quite honest, I was very conservative in sending that figure out because that one was specifically on the ICT, but not the pervasive impact on all the industries. And guess what? I think the discussions were today in terms of how the ICT environment is going to touch on every sector of the economy and every business line, and the way we educate ourselves, entertain, communicate, the way we do HR, finances, and everything else. But after doing this analysis, we wanted to know, well, what are the growth sectors that we really need to fast-track in Canada? And last week we published a report, I believe the first in its kind, on the apps economy in Canada. It took me by surprise to know that it's an economy that's generating approximately $750 million at the moment, going to $2.2 billion in 2016, and it's actually contributing to approximately generating, taking revenue from a global arena, approximately 3%. The global arena is estimated at $25 billion. It's employing approximately 50,000 in Canada, going to approximately 80,000 in 2016. So if we just look at one sector of the economy, which is the app economy, of how much the needs, that it's going to be compounding the figure that I gave of 106,000 by another element, let alone if we look at the needs of the cloud computing and other sectors of the economy. But all of that to say is that talent is going to be a major factor that we have to reflect on going forward. Next slide, please, if I can. So this is really just an indication in terms of the apps economy. Be more than happy to share that information with you. It's got picked up by the media, the Global Mail and CTV, but more than happy to share that information with you. Next slide. So we did that survey with a lot of the high-tech sector, and actually many of the Google was involved as much as the top industries in that environment. I think the focus for us is, going forward is, and the interest in this element in doing this study is to say, well, what do we need to focus on? And we've all been discussing the notion of a digital strategy in the next number of years, and that we need one going forward. But should our focus be on a broad brush like other countries, like Australia and others, spending several $billion on content and pipes? Or should we be looking at fast-tracking some of the very growth sectors, such as the one that I indicated, that is going between 27 to 47% a year, which is phenomenal amount, creating jobs in leaps and bounds for the economy. And when I mention about the talent, I think it's important for us to look at all talent pools. So not only the talent, from the youth, and it's surprised to see that actually the unemployment rate in the ICT, or the jobless rate, is really very much low, much lower than the average of the unemployment rate. It's sitting at 2.5% compared to 7.6%. Yet it's very difficult to attract some of the youth in that environment. the youth unemployment is approximately 16% according to the OECD. So one is finding how do we attract the youth in being part of this SME or small medium enterprises phenomena of the growth sectors of the future, but also how to attract women in this environment that represent 52% of the population. And actually, without further ado, I will ask upon Catherine Boivie to come up and present. She's the CEO and chair of the Canadian Women in Technology, and she will be expanding more on the role of women in the ICT and how can we leverage that going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, either I grow or I have to. Unlikely at this point. Can everyone hear me? Okay. So if I could have the second slide up. So as we heard, there are new jobs being created in technology, and the next one. And the technology is just craving for new talent. And yet one segment of the population is not fully participating. 1 in 5 ICT workers are women. And yet it's shown that when you have more women in an organization, the organization does better. Women who are in science and technology leave within the first 10 years, 52% of them. So what can we do about it? This is what the Canadian Women in Technology is about. What we are doing is encouraging women. Sometimes we go into high school because that's where it has to start. Encouraging them to go into technology and engineering and areas of interest. And the issue is usually they say, I'm not that good in mathematics. And we tell them, it really is not mathematics, it's logic. And as long as you're interested in getting to know the organization, because when you're in technology, really it's an ideal place to be because you get to know every part of the business, because you can't name an area of business that does not use technology. So if you're not sure what you want to do, technology is the ideal area to be in. We also support women who are already in technology, because it gets discouraging with only 1 of 5 technology workers being women, and women leave the field. We offer opportunities for networking, for sharing best practices, and help out women who just starting a company, because they have a different set of challenges. If I could have the next slide, please. We have an advisory council who helps us govern the Canadian Women in Technology organization. We have over 1,000 women who have attended our events. You met Fawn, who is part of our advisory council. Cindy Gordon, who is not listed here, but she is the past president and sort of the guiding godmother. And as you can see, there are a number of women who assist us to guide the organization and help us grow. And if I could have the next slide. The second association I would like to talk to you about is the Chief Information Officers Associations of Canada. So why is that important? These are the highest ranking IT people in the organization, and they don't learn from books, because by the time it appears in a book, it's too late. So what they need is to learn best practices from each other, to hear new ideas, think about how technology enables the business. The organization itself, which I am the founding president, has over 250 members and all CIOs, and has a close link with the academia to make sure that the next generation of CIOs have the right training. If I could have the next slide, please. What the CIO Association of Canada offers is an opportunity to network, to share best practices, as well as we advocate on behalf of CIOs. Things like CIOs or senior technical people should be on boards, because the biggest capital expenditure in any organization, it usually relates to technology. We also commission research on trends for CIOs, and work with both internal and external partners. So we do work with ICTC, and we do provide mentoring for CanWIT. It has nothing to do with me being involved in both, because that started before I was. But this is what the new world and the new reality is, that you have to work together. Next slide, please. We also offer professional development, so CIO leadership academies, and talk about emerging trends. So there is a relatively new trend called bring your own device to work, or BYOD, nothing to do with drinking, folks, allowing employees to bring whatever device they want into work, and IT make it work. And this was a huge idea, and how innovative it is, and how much everybody was looking forward to it. And when it was enabled, most people said, I don't want to support my own device. I'm not, it was a good idea, but the take-up on it is not as big as it was thought. So we have to separate the hype from the reality, and that's what the CIO Association does. There is a mentoring program, but there is also a no marketing program, because CIOs get marketed to enough. It's the last thing we want to do. If I could have the last slide. Here are some of the organizations who are part of the CIO Association. So as you can see, plenty of opportunities to share best practices. And the last slide shows the next slide shows how we all work together. I guess the ICTC logo is not showing up properly, but we are not an island in ourselves. The only way we can achieve results if various organizations work together and highlight and leverage their strengths and make sure that the ultimate goal, which is having technology enable the business, is achieved. Thank you very much.